Hello, this is the term paper presentation for course PH5402 instructed by Dr. Gautam Seth. So my name is Jain Singh Devda, registration number MS17068. So today I am going to discuss a very popular topic named by Josephson effect of superconductors. So here is the content of this presentation. First, quantum tunneling, a brief introduction on Josephson junction, superconductors, Cooper pairing process, detailed discussion on Josephson junction, DC and AC Josephson currents, applications of this Josephson junction, and finally conclusions. So now let us first discuss the effect of quantum tunneling of a particle through a potential well, which is very useful for Josephson effect. So this is a potential curve, and in classical mechanics we can treat it like as a mountain. And suppose if we have a ball at this point, and if we leave it from here, we can find maximum height which can achieved by this ball is the height when it is released. So in classical mechanics we cannot find the ball in the other part of the mountain or in the middle part of this mountain. But in quantum mechanics, as we know, the quantum world is probabilistic and every particle is treated like as a wave. So there is a chance of seeing the particle on the other side of the mountain as well as in the middle part of this mountain. So this is called quantum mechanics tunneling. And the probability of tunneling a particle is simply given by this formula, which is decreasing exponentially with width of the potential well L. So in this video, you can better visualize the tunneling of a particle through a potential well which is treated like a wave, and we can find the particle in the next part of this well. So this is the basic idea of quantum tunneling, and something like that happens in Josephson junction. So in Josephson junction, tunneling particles are the Cooper pairs. So what is meant by the Josephson junction? So a Josephson junction is made by sandwiching a thin layer of non-superconducting material between two layers of superconducting material. So as I have shown in this figure, that the when two superconductors are separated by a thin insulating layer, which is the order of something 1 to 2 nanometers. So and as we know that insulator cannot allow the flow of current, so by classically current should not be flow in this circuit. But in 1962, Brian Josephson predicted that if we have two superconductors separated by a thin insulating layer, the current can flow through the insulator applying a voltage as well as without applying any voltage. So what is this? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. So Josephson uses the BCS theory to explain this, and he said that Cooper pairs presented in superconductor can tunnel through the insulator by quantum tunneling, which I have explained earlier. And he also predicted the exact form of the current and voltage relation, which we will see in this video later. So now this is a picture of copper pair tunneling in Josephson junction. So now what is a superconductor? So in 1911, Professor K. Owens explained this, and he told that condition for being a superconductor that the resistance should be zero and it should show Maxner effect. So is it possible? So he tried it and decreased the motion activity of atoms and activity of electrons in the conductor, which is due to their thermal energy. So the thermal energy is responsible for collision and resistance building up. So he decreases the temperature, so thermal energy goes on decreasing, and he found that at certain temperature, which is called critical temperature, the resistance of the material becomes zero. So what does it mean? It means that if we have circuit which is connected with a superconductor, as you can see in this slide, and if we replace the battery with a conducting wire, we will see that the current is still flowing without any battery, and Professor K. Owens called this material as superconductor. So now what is the Cooper pairs? A pair of weakly bound electrons in a superconductor is called Cooper pair. So it was first described in 1956 by Leon Cooper. So electrons have same charges, then how can they form pairs in superconductor? So we can see it by these three pictures. So first, electron is free particle in the lattice, and it can be attracted by positive charges, as you can see in this picture. And this attraction distorts the ion lattice, moving the ions slightly towards the electron. So this increases the positive charge density of the lattice in this local. So now as you can see in the second picture, another electron attracted to the positive charge density created by the first electron, distorting the lattice around itself. So finally, this attraction can overcome the electrons' repulsion due to their negative charge and create a binding between the two electrons and this pair called Cooper pair. So this pairing of electrons allow the electrons to behave like a superfluid, and it creates some of the properties of superconductor. So now the electrons can then travel through the lattice as a single entity known as a Cooper pair. So this Cooper pair can made at temperature below critical temperature because the energy of the pairing interaction is quite weak, which is the order of 10 to the power minus 3 electron volt, and thermal energy can easily break the pairs. So only at low temperatures a significant number of Cooper pairs presented in the superconductors, and these Cooper pairs are the reason for carrying the supercurrent in the superconductors. So now let us come back to our Josephson junction discussion. So since electrons pairs are boson, when there are a lot of them in given state, there is a especially large amplitude of other pairs to go the same state. So we would expect all the pairs to be moving in the same state. So we can call phi the wave function of a Cooper pair in the lowest energy state. However, since phi star is going to be proportional to the charge density n1, so we can just as well write phi as the square root of Cooper pair density times some phase factor. So we have found the wave function of Cooper pair. So now let us try to write the time dependent Schrodinger equation describes the time evolution of the wave function in the two superconductors according to these two equations. So here V is the biased voltage applied across the superconductors, and K is the characteristics of Josephson junction which determines the hopping and flip-flop amplitude of the two level system. So here K is simply constant, and Cooper pair wave function which we derived in last slide for both superconductors can be written as these two equations. Here N1 and N2 are the density of Cooper pair in the superconductors. So now put the Cooper pair wave function in the Schrodinger equation, and doing some calculation we will get these four equations. These equations are the result of the Josephson effect. So for a complete calculation, you can see my term paper PDF. So here verify is the phase difference of Cooper pairs. Now we know that time derivation of the charge densities is simply current. So here N1 dot and N2 dot is the current in these two superconductors, and the sign of both quantities are opposite. So we see that the rate of decrease of pair density in one superconductor is the negative of that in the other superconductor. So by these equations we can interpret that a current is flowing through an insulating layer, and the phase difference can be calculated from the other two equations. We can take difference of these two equations and integrate to get phase difference. So now if the superconductors are identical, so n1 equals to n2, then we have only two equations here, and n dot is called the Josephson current through the insulating layer, which depends upon the phase difference, and phase difference is depend upon the applied voltage. Here omega j is the Josephson frequency. So this is the most useful final result of Josephson effect, in which the current can flow through the insulating layer. So this current Josephson called supercurrent. So now what will happen if we have V equals to 0, means no biasing, then omega j will be 0 and current will be constant, and this is called DC Josephson current. So this DC Josephson current can flow up to the maximum value of IC. Now if we apply a DC voltage V across the junction, we have the equation I equals to IC sine omega t plus delta phi naught. So when a voltage is applied, the Josephson current will oscillate at a frequency omega j, which is Josephson frequency, and that's why this is called AC Josephson current. So now this figure shows a schematic diagram of IV characteristic of a Josephson junction, usually observed in bridge type junction, which is reversible on increasing and decreasing V. A Josephson supercurrent flow up to IC at V equals to 0. So this is the DC Josephson effect, and a transition occurs from the V equals to 0 to a finite voltage state for I is greater than IC. Above this voltage, the IV characteristics exhibits an Ohm's law with a finite resistance of this junction. The current has the oscillatory component of angular frequency omega j equals to 2 EV upon h bar, and this is the AC Josephson effect. So now here is the applications of this Josephson effect. So first is squid. So a SQUID superconducting quantum interference device is a very sensitive magnetometer used to measure extremely subtle magnetic fields based on superconducting loops containing Josephson junction. So second is gradiometer, oscilloscopes, decoders, analog to digital converters, and many more. So here is the final conclusions of this presentation. So in this presentation we have explained the basics of Josephson junction. We have demonstrated that if two superconductors are separated by a thin insulating layer, Josephson discovered that a supercurrent can flow through this insulating layer, which is impossible in classical picture. In DC Josephson effect, we have a constant supercurrent without applying any voltage across the superconductors, and in AC Josephson effect we have a supercurrent which oscillates with Josephson frequency. So finally, thank you for giving kind attention on this presentation.